I'm very excited about today's video because I think this idea or concept of quiet confidence is highly sought after, but it actually feels quite elusive as well. There's a lot of content out there telling us to be unbothered, detached, confident, but how? How do you actually achieve this? And I don't just mean faking it, and I don't just mean external appearance or behavior. I mean actually truly embodying quiet confidence. Quiet confidence doesn't have to be at either 0% or 100%. I think it's more of a sliding scale. And I really want to tackle this concept from the inside out because, as I'm sure you've noticed, someone can be physically attractive or externally very well accomplished or successful, and those things don't necessarily always equate to embodying quiet confidence. When someone embodies quiet confidence, it doesn't mean that they're quiet. I think it's called quiet confidence because it's more of a show rather than a tell. When someone has this energy, it's oftentimes unspoken. It doesn't have to be advertised and it doesn't have to be loud. You don't have to be the star of the room per se to embody or exude this quality. Quiet confidence is humble, curious, open, warm, and kind. It is not cold or uncaring or unbothered. It's definitely not someone who acts or feels as if they're better than or that they're superior. And I think genuine quiet confidence truly inspires other people because when you're in the presence of someone that has this quality, it just naturally and magically allows you to feel more confident in being fully yourself. I really sat here and thought very long and hard about how to practically achieve this, to embody this quiet confidence. And sorry to say, but I don't think it's a simple fix. It's not an overnight change or a aha moment or a miraculous shift. Going from someone who's typically more insecure and anxious, perhaps a people pleaser, to becoming someone who's actually confident, has a lot of self-trust, and has felt genuine self-love on a deep level that goes beyond mantras and affirmations, this process can be a journey. But how do we accelerate it? I want to start with some good news. Whether you grew up in a household that was full of praise or you grew up in a household that didn't have any praise, worst case scenario, you grew up in an environment that made you feel less than, from talking to people who has made the significant shift, I've realized that the circumstance in the past doesn't matter. It's natural to think if you did have a tough upbringing or a less than desirable childhood that you might take longer to arrive at this point of embodying quiet confidence. But I find that it's not necessarily true. Sometimes it's exactly through those tough experiences that it toughens your skin and it builds resilience and it forces you to truly have to get really comfortable with all of your imperfections. I think that whatever our experiences were, good or bad, they can either make or break us, but that we have a choice and it's in our hands. For example, a really good friend of mine used to be somebody that couldn't even handle constructive criticism on her artwork, let alone somebody commenting about her personality or her characteristic. She would literally go home and cry if someone made a critique on her work. But after living abroad for a year where she was constantly scrutinized about her nationality, her ethnicity, her looks, she was being bombarded almost every day with harsh criticism. And in her own words, it helped her get thicker skin. And today, she is truly, genuinely a source of inspiration. You can feel it when you're around her. She's so comfortable in her own skin, and she's able to take any constructive criticism or just pointing out or calling her out with such grace and humor and humility that when you're around her, you feel more confident because she is so at home in herself. I have another friend who actually grew up in a really toxic and harmful mother-daughter dynamic. Yet today, she's one of the most confident and self-assured women that I know. Literally, there's nothing you can do or say to manipulate her because she truly knows herself so thoroughly that there's nothing you can possibly say that could shake her. And if you're someone who's watching and you're younger, the good news is this. I think a sense of confidence or quiet confidence does really come with time, age, and experience. It's just natural that the older we get, the more experiences we've accumulated, the less you're gonna give a fuck about what other people think of you. But there is absolutely a way to accelerate this process, and let's get right into it. At the core, at the very core of how you can embody quiet confidence comes down to this thing. And it might seem simple, but it's not easy. Start a regular practice of sitting down with yourself and cataloging or taking an inventory of all of your qualities. If you have been doing this so-called work for some time now, you might not even have to do this. You might already be self-aware enough to know all these qualities or traits that you possess and what you're working through. But that's just the first step. If you're familiar with the concept of shadow work, essentially the idea is whatever qualities, whether it's considered good or bad, desirable or undesirable, if you do not think you yourself possess it, when you see it in someone else, you're either going to be attracted to it or you're going to be repulsed by it, for better or worse. I used to find people that had the sunny disposition, or they're kind of happy-go-lucky, just joyful all the time. I found these people really irritating and I just thought they weren't my people. But the truth is, I had to come to accept this fact. I was secretly envious because, let's be honest, as much as you act like the Grinch or you're grumpy or critical of other people, at the end of the day, all of us want to feel happy and good. So back then, if somebody came to me and they said, "Oh, you're kind of moody," it would put a really bad taste in my mouth, and I would feel like they were commenting about something of me, that it made me inadequate for the fact that I was a moody person. Or if someone meets me for the first time and they say, "Wow, you seem like such a happy person," I wouldn't be able to claim that part. I would say, "Oh, no, that's not me. That's not who I am. Like, you just don't know me yet." And the truth is, I do lean towards a moodier side of things. And I can be a little dramatic in my head at times, especially when I was younger. But the truth also is that I had a deep reservoir of joy and optimism. And I have since then been able to truly sit with this, accept this, embrace this about me. When you're able to actually not just accept, but embrace all parts of you, it no longer carries a charge. So that when you do see this quality or characteristic reflected in somebody else, there is no reaction, there's no reactivity, and you no longer need to pass judgment on anybody else. Somebody who has quiet confidence wastes no time judging other people because they themselves have sat through, worked through, witnessed, and fully embraced every part of who they are, the good and the bad. They've welcomed the parts that they're proud of, the parts that they once felt shame about. They've recognized what parts they want more of and which parts they're ready to let go of, and what other parts they're currently actively working on. You're not able to have genuine, true compassion for anybody else unless you have it within yourself. If you ever come across someone who's highly critical and judgmental of other people, rest assured that the same thing is happening internally. They act the same way with themselves. Maybe they've embodied this false sense of confidence and they won't show it externally. They just puff themselves up by putting other people down. But trust me, if someone is wasting their energy critiquing or judging other people, there is internal conflict there. A genuinely confident person, or you can say a quiet, confident person, is never going to feel the need to put anybody down, nor do they feel the need to put anybody else up on a pedestal. When someone truly feels safe and secure within themselves, they're able to actually provide a neutral space for other people to feel safely in being themselves. So I want you to start intentionally, take inventory and notice all of your parts, the good and the bad bits, and start to make peace with each part of who you are today, exactly as you are. You don't even have to love them. You just have to accept that this is where you are right now and embrace each part with compassion and kindness. I used to get incredibly defensive with anyone. I'm still actively working on this even today, but today it takes a very special, unique flavor of a circumstance to actually trigger this to come up for me. And I used to get really frustrated with myself because I didn't want to fight people all the time. I didn't want to feel angry or embarrassed or unwilling to take a constructive criticism. But I've since then been able to own this part of who I am. I understand and I'm aware that I have this tendency, but instead of demonizing it, I understand why I do this. It's because growing up in the environment that I did, anytime I didn't perform well or I didn't do the right thing, it was scrutinized. It made me feel less than, like I wasn't worthy or lovable. So I can view this part of my defense mechanism with compassion and also remain open. If you are someone who tends to react very quickly and want to defend yourself, know that when this happens, people close to you will even start to avoid having conflict with you by bringing up really meaningful conversation, by giving you truthful and helpful advice because they don't want to cause or create tension or problem with you because it's never well received. And when this happens, we lose out on an opportunity for people who actually genuinely care for us and love us to offer sound advice when we need it, when we cannot see our own blind spots. And there's a wonderful thing that happens when you are able to accept, witness, and embrace all parts of who you are. When this happens, there's no one on earth who is going to be able to shame you or manipulate you because whatever you've made peace with is no longer a trigger. It has no energy and you don't have any reactivity towards it. So I have a funny example. One of the friends that I mentioned earlier, she actually is gorgeous. She used to be a model and now she's a personal trainer. She is someone that has truly gotten so thoroughly intimate and comfortable with who she is mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that nothing can shake her. So one day, this is a true story, someone walked up to her and made a comment like, "Hey, you kind of look like a horse." And her response was, "Yeah, I know, and?" I want you to think about something that if you had heard from a person, whether it's a stranger or a friend, that would immediately cause you to feel shame, anger, insecurity, whatever it is, fully sit with these parts of you, own them, claim them, embrace them with compassion. And as you're doing this work, don't forget the progress you've made. And when you feel ready, let those parts of you go that is no longer true. I've debated sharing this publicly for a long time, but everyone in my life or people that I meet, I have no problem telling them because I have truly owned and claimed this part. In my 20s, there was a time when I was a high functioning alcoholic. The problem for me was I was always seeking for ways to escape. There was always a part of me that was seeking for self-destruction. And I'm happy to say that this part of me is no longer active. And it took a really long time, a lot of crying and ups and downs, and to truly understand what it means to love myself fully, imperfections and all. It took me about a decade of trial and errors, and it doesn't have to be as long for you. If you have been struggling with it, I want you to know that it is absolutely possible. I think it happened gradually over time. As much as in the past, I wanted the magic solution, the overnight snap of the finger aha moment where then I would truly know what it was like to love myself so deeply, to feel worthy. It happened gradually over time, and it happened with experiences. And sure, some days I don't feel so hot, and some days I still guilt trip myself, feeling like I can be more productive. But the core of how I feel and who I am today is one that no longer has a desire to self-destruct, and I am much more kinder and more loving to all parts of myself. If you're someone that has not had the perfect life, maybe you've made mistakes along the path, this sets you up with a wonderful opportunity. Because you've gone through your own journey and you've had your own dark night of the soul, it sets you up to be someone that allows other people to be imperfect, to not pass judgment because you've been there. You know you're not perfect yourself. And to be able to inspire others by being open about your past and your mistakes and all the things that you've learned. Share any wisdom when asked of the work that you've done and what's helped. We can't change everything that's happened to us in the past, for us in the past, but the moral of the story that we get to write. Quiet confidence comes from knowing you can trust yourself, this idea of self-trust. It's about feeling safe within yourself. And there's a number of ways to do it, depending on where you are on your journey. You can heal your nervous system. You can expose yourself by going out there and putting yourself out in the world and have the opportunity to get rejected or have the opportunity to find yourself delightfully surprised. And it's not always going to feel good or right at first. And you might even say, oh, this is just not for me. But unless you go out there and you try it, it might just be a way for you to stay in your comfort zone. And that's something that I've definitely done in the past. I used to have social anxieties, especially meeting new people. And over time, it turned into a lack of willingness to make new friends or meet new people. And I told myself that all I needed was just a handful of ride or dies. But truly, I know now that I was just trying to stay within my own comfort zone. Now, when I go meet new people or make new friends, I no longer feel that. I'm comfortable being exactly who I am, imperfections and all. I still don't love loud or big crowds, and I prefer daytime activities to nighttime activities, but those are actual genuine preferences. When you allow yourself to have these experiences, you can claim things that you actually like and don't like. And now I also know what are things that I prefer versus when I am just trying to stay within my own comfort zone. And the truth is, the more I've met new people, the more friends I've made recently, the bigger my comfort zone has become. It's like what I talked about in one of my other videos. Someone said that the biggest part on their healing journey was when they realized it wasn't that their feelings were too big, it was that they needed to increase their own capacity to hold their feelings. This is exactly like that. My own comfort zone grew bigger and bigger the more I exposed myself to things that were uncomfortable at first, but then coming to find that I actually enjoy them. Today, I am someone who know myself really well. And of course, we all have blind spots, but there are things that I know that I love about myself. There's things that I'm currently working on. And honestly, I just give less and less of a fuck if anybody likes me because I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea and not everyone is my cup of tea either. I want to talk about another important part of this, which is when you have social anxiety, especially in a group setting with new people. I realize a lot of people who have this feeling is because when they're out and about, they're hyper fixated or insecure, right? They're in their head thinking about how they're being perceived, how they look. Maybe they think they look awkward and uncomfortable and they feel like everyone can tell. As a practice, recently I was at an event where there were a lot of people that I didn't know. And instead of getting in my head about it, I just fully tuned myself into being present in my environment and genuinely being curious about the people that were there. So instead of being stuck in your head, hyper fixated on yourself, allow yourself to be present in social situations and just really truly notice, like, what are the sounds, what's around you, what are people talking about, and feel comfortable when you have nothing to say. That is one of the most important factors of embodying quiet confidence. When you don't know something, you don't have to say anything. Or when something intrigues you, ask questions. Oh, I've never heard of this, can you tell me more? If someone is going to look at you and think you're stupid, that's on them. You were curious and courageous enough to ask someone of an interest that they have. That's absolutely commendable. And that is quiet confidence. And the truth is, we're human beings. It's natural to judge other people. And it's natural for you when you're out in the social environment for other people to judge you. But so what? The other truth is, no one is thinking about us more than ourselves. Okay, I'm going to repeat this one more time. Nobody is thinking about you or worried about you more than you worry about yourself or think about yourself. Everybody's too busy worried about themselves and how they're being perceived. Everyone else is also in their own head. Remember, it's a human experience. Someone who might appear to be comfortable, you don't know what's going on in their head. Most likely, they're also worried about if people like them, if they smell funny, if they have a hair out of place or food stuck in their mouth. Someone who has quiet confidence is a person who is so at ease and comfortable within their own skin, in their own home. And because of their ability to be authentically themselves and stand firm in knowing exactly who they are, all the good and the bad, they can actually remain very open and receptive to other people. They can be vulnerable to people who has earned their trust. They have no reason to hide any parts of themselves, and in turn, they don't need anybody else to hide themselves either. This is why when you're in the presence of a person who has quiet confidence, it makes you feel more confident. It makes you feel more at ease. You can sense this non judgment coming from this person. Quiet confidence is also about being selective because once you get to know yourself so thoroughly, you know exactly what are yeses and nos for you. Quiet confidence is meeting someone new and saying, this person is wonderful, but they're not my cup of tea. And this says nothing about them. It's just my own preference. Quiet confidence means you get to be selective about what you choose to consume, the activities that you say yes to, and the friendships that you keep. And the more you start to get to know yourself so intimately, it's truly a relationship. It's the partnership of a lifetime. That so called magnetism that everyone talks about happens naturally when you have quiet confidence. People will naturally want to be around you because it puts them at ease. They can sense how truly authentically you're being, and it allows them to be themselves and they feel at ease and seen. And don't ever feel discouraged if you feel like you're far from embodying quiet confidence. And just take the time to truly get to know yourself with love and kindness in the smallest ways and in big ways. And also intentionally get out of your comfort zone, incrementally or totally. The future version of you that you're dying to meet, they already exist. And they exist because of the past you, everything that's happened, the current version of who you are, and the you that's going to be doing the work to get to meet them. I actually have a really exciting announcement to make. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, which is to start a community for like minded, like spirited people. And recently I read a comment on one of my videos, and this person basically expressed, in my opinion, a sense of feeling loneliness, like whatever it is that they're going through, they feel like it's special and unique, exclusive to them. And I think one component that's missing in these videos is that I am speaking at you. There's no way to engage with each other. So I've decided to start the Treehouse Collective. It's, I guess you can say, a passion project, but it's one that I've wanted to do for years now, honestly. So it's pre-launch stage, and if you're interested, there's a wait list. It's called the Founders Circle wait list. Basically, anyone that's signed up on that wait list, whenever the treehouse is fully built and ready to be live, you will receive the first update. And if you are on that list, you will get an exclusive discount for the membership price. It's going to be affordable because I know what it's like when you're already struggling to deal with so many things in life and you're just looking for that extra support. You're looking for that connection, accountability. So it's something that I hope people can really take advantage of, and that we kind of find our treehouse club and really heal and grow and chase goals together. The waitlist is going to be linked down below where you can join. And if you have any questions at all, just let me know. Again, this is just a preliminary waitlist. You're not signing up for anything yet because we're still building the treehouse, so to speak. So, but whenever that's live, I'm so excited to meet all of you that are hoping to be a part of this community. And thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.